So one of the first things we like to do is take a quick assessment of the guitar we're working on. Obviously, if it's your guitar, you'll know how the electronics are working, but if it's not your guitar, you want to make sure that there's no push-pull that you're unaware of on the guitar, any sort of switches, because that could affect the way you wire up the pickups. The other thing we want to do is take some measurements of these pickups, and what's helpful with that is like it gives us a starting point for the new pickups. Doesn't mean that they're going to be the same eventually, because the new pickups could have different output, different character that we'll need to adjust. But if we know that the current ones are pretty close, then it's great because we can set up the new pickups to these specs here. Best way to do it, you can do it actually two different ways. You can measure the pickup from the pick guard itself to the top of the pickup cover, and we like to measure both the treble or bass and treble side, and do that for each pickup. Just kind of go through and kind of measure both sides. You can also do this, which is also really a great way to measure. It's probably more exact because you're dealing with the string at this point, which is holding down the last fret and then measuring from the top of the magnet to the bottom of the string on both the bass and treble side for each one of the pickups. So I can tell that this one is pretty high, but it maybe that's where it sounds best at. Okay, so we can measure it that way too. Again, that's giving us kind of an idea of where these pickups are sitting. If you're not sure what the pickups that are currently installed in the guitar are set to the correct height, that's okay, because later when we put in the new pickups, what we're going to also do is set these to Seymour Duncan's recommended height, and then from that point we can make some subtle adjustments based on the equipment and the amplifier and the gear that we're using. Another thing that you can measure, it's not necessary for a pickup swap, but you can measure the length of the saddles to make sure that if things do get moved, you can put back the saddles to the current specs. We still may need to adjust the intonation with the new strings. It should be kind of like standard practice for you to always check your intonation. Most of the time you won't have to do it if you're using the same string gauge. So let's take the strings off, and then we're going to take the pick guard off.